Welcome to another episode. I'm Gabby Didado, and I'm here with Krystal Flish, who's a signed model in New York City. She's been in the game for a minute, so Krystal and I are going to chat about modeling and just share some tips.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. So tell us a bit about your journey with modeling and what led you to it.
Okay, so as long as I can remember, I wanted to model. I was born in the
Mm,
80s and then the supermodels of the 90s. It was like, all I wanted to do. Um, and when I went to decided to go to college, I went for
hmm
broadcast journalism because I thought, that was kind of, I get used to being on camera and I enjoyed writing, things like that. Maybe I could be on TV one day,
Yeah.
in a reporting capacity or something. So I went to college, graduated in 2005 from Temple University. I grew up right outside of Philadelphia.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and it was a great school. But I have an aunt that's in the television business and an uncle, and they said you're going to have to move out of that market when you get
Mm,
started. You know, say goodbye to holidays. If you're thinking about having a family, it's going to be tricky. So, I was like 21 and panicked. I was like, oh my
yeah.
God, I don't know if I want to do this. And I ended up saying, you know what? I'm going to try modeling because that's what I always wanted to
Yeah.
do and just see. So I was every day. Back then, you had to, have someone come take pictures of you and print them at like the Walgreens or whatever. And
Oh my God. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So I would be like writing all of my stats on the back and, packaging them up, sending them off. I would take like 30 submissions to the post office.
Wow.
You're like in the phone book, literally in the phone book, looking up, addresses. It's like the dinosaur ages now.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I would just send them out, send them out, send them out. Some, of course, did have like online submissions. It wasn't like it is now. You could maybe email
Mm.
and fingers crossed it got to them. But um,
Right, right.
it was tricky finding out when open calls were, just calling agencies and
Mhm.
putting in like the legwork. I'm on
Right.
the shorter side. I am just barely 5'8". And at the time,
Okay.
for being a fashion model. And at the
I'm
time,
actually the same height. I'm like right around, yeah.
oh, then So it's like when,
Yeah, yeah.
21, back in those days when it was the thing to be like super tall, super thin, super young. I would go to
Mm.
castings with girls that were 14, 5'11", and I'm sitting there like talking about taking the day off from high school, and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what am I doing here? Um,
Yeah.
but it was so much fun just to get that experience. I ended up signing with a very small boutique agency in Manhattan. So
Okay.
I would just trek back and forth from my house in Philly. I bartended like full time pretty much then, and
Okay.
um, just did what I could for a few months. I was trying to think, maybe it was like 6 months. It was not a long period of
Okay.
time. I did book a couple jobs and I made connections,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was really the important part
Mm.
because that's how I got back into modeling years later from someone I met back then.
Yeah.
Um, because, otherwise, I don't know if I ever would have gotten back into that world
Mm.
because I
Connections
felt
are
comfortable.
everything. Yeah.
You know what? 1,000%. And
Mm.
I'll definitely touch base on that too when we talk about
Yeah.
jobs and stuff and deciding on taking jobs because it's just about connections and
Mm.
of obviously being kind and being someone that's supportive and receiving that support.
Right.
I met a woman
Right.
back then, Renee Lauren. She is a
Okay.
agent for Click Philly, and Click is
Okay.
a big agency in New
Yes.
York
Yeah.
and all over. So
They are.
Click Philly then, there was only really 2 or 3 agencies in Philly. Um,
Okay.
and so I had, of course, you know, contacted her, called her, sent her my little package, and
Yeah.
she was not going to sign me to Click. But she's like, "I see potential in you and I want to help you for nothing." Like she
Mm.
sent me to a casting at QVC. So I got that experience, and
Oh, that's fun.
she made me connections with some photographers to get my
Okay.
portfolio started. And those photographers, worked with agencies and so on and so forth. So it was out of the kindness of her heart. And
Mm.
that's why I always feel like, you definitely need to be kind to people, pass along any information you can, especially if you think
Yeah.
you see something in someone, because she gave me that confidence, that okay, she's been at this for a while and she sees something in me. Not enough
Mm.
that like she's like, okay, I'm taking you on, but at the time she's like, just try. You've never even started yet. So
Right.
that was
Sometimes you
great.
just need like one person that will push you in the
One
right direction.
person.
And it means everything. Yeah.
And that rejection aspect of it. And again, back then it
Mm.
was a little trickier. I'd see like them rip up comp card. You'd have the in-person comp cards. I'd see them like rip them up, get out of here to people. And I was like in the corner, oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
But that's a lot of it
Yeah.
too, that, okay, this is all silly. It's a little
Yeah.
silly. You don't need to be unnecessarily like mean or rude, but
Unkind.
if
Yeah.
unkind, but if it is happening to you, just trying to like, okay, stay tough, move along. You don't want to work with that
Yeah.
type of person anyway, maybe. But um,
Mm.
yeah, it was a little bit of a different world back then. But again,
Yeah.
I made those connections. Never in a million years thought I would model again. Like
Yeah.
it would be like going to the moon. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it just
Uh-huh.
fell out of my life. I
Mm.
became a stepmom. And then, my husband and I, we have 3 little boys, and
Aw.
they're 4, 6, and 9, so for so long, my life was consumed with being a mom. I breastfed forever. It was just like, nothing. You have no time to yourself as a mom, and that self-care part of your life really goes away. Um,
Mm.
and that led me down some really bad paths, which I think is a thing that a lot of moms these days really struggle with, especially, if you're
Mm.
staying at home or during COVID. That was so tough for everyone being stuck at home.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, and you just forget to take care of yourself. And I personally I mean, I did not put on makeup probably for a year or more on end. I didn't brush my teeth sometimes for days. Like,
Mm.
showering was a joke. I mean, blow drying
Yeah.
my hair,
Yeah.
what was that? I mean, like, ew.
Yeah.
I have maybe 5 pictures of myself for, like, years because I would just stick my kids out, and, that happens, I think, a lot with, moms where they just maybe don't feel good about themselves, so they're just, "Look at my kids, look at everything else," but
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
hiding or, and
Yeah. You
it's
forget
so
about
sad.
you.
It's so hard, and,
Yeah.
you're trying to manage like, my doctor, at that time, I remember she gave me great advice, and I think it's with lifestyle, like, with beauty, with anyone struggling, just get a shower every day if you can. Like, try to shower, try to brush your teeth, like, just maintenance, just having pride in your appearance a little bit even, or how you feel about yourself can change your whole mood, change your whole day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I totally, like, got lost in a world of never considering myself to be in front of a camera. Like, from going from
Yeah.
hiding from the cameras to being a model was
Wow.
like, impossible. I never considered it.
Wow.
So to be here now is amazing, but
That's
it also is
incredible.
a total testament to, at any age, literally at any age, you can do anything. You can start over.
Absolutely.
Especially now,
Absolutely.
there's so much inclusivity, um,
Mm.
positivity. You look around in just the world in general, advertising,
Mhm.
marketing, which is where we come in with, being
Yes.
the faces there. They wanna
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
people that are their age, people that, have issues
Oh,
that
yeah.
they may have, people that look like you, people that look like that. When
Right.
you're gonna
Right.
buy a product, you wanna see someone your age that might have those wrinkles or might have that issue selling you that
Mhm.
product or telling you about it.
I feel like that's
Um,
definitely like a misconception people have. Like they think like, oh, if you're a certain age, it's too late for you to model. But really,
but
there's they really are looking for a variety of all ages, all sizes now. So things have definitely changed. I mean, even for me, I'm 28 now. And
Mhm.
when I first tried to get signed was in my early 20s. And I
Yeah,
was always not the right size. I was always told to lose
right.
weight because naturally I was just a little bit more curvier. But now it
Mhm.
just seems like they're starting to be more accepting of,
Oh my
you know,
gosh, absolutely.
yeah,
I've had,
yeah.
and I have a naturally, like, very slim kind of frame,
Mhm.
and so when I was heavier, it really showed on me. When I lost all that weight, again, my agent, because I ended up getting signed with Click here, in my at 39, um,
Yeah,
she had actually said maybe try to
that's
gain a little,
amazing.
just because the misses kind of clothes, try to get, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a change from years before. But I said to her,
Right.
I'm just, this is where I am comfortable and healthy. And she was great with that. And that's the thing. Supportive,
Yeah. Yes.
honesty about your sizes. I think that is something that's huge. Gonna go off I don't want to go off on a tangent, but like those things really matter. Not,
Mhm.
just saying
Yeah.
I am this waist, I am this size, and this is where I'm healthiest and comfortable. And if it changes, like, embrace it.
Right.
Embrace
Right.
that where your body's changing and where it's going, because it happens to everyone. And it's the most important part is like being healthy, because that's where you can tell,
Right.
when you're doing, on
It
camera,
shows.
it shows. It
Yeah.
shows when you're
Yeah.
tired, when you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not, eating healthy, whatever it is for you.
Right.
Um, it does show. It shows. And I think that's in everything, not just modeling or being in front of the camera, but that certainly is a aspect to our jobs that we need to really
Right.
focus on. Um,
Our health.
because, there's a million of us out there, and,
Yeah.
you're trying to
Yeah.
set yourself apart, and keep yourself looking good and doing what you can,
Absolutely.
which it's a healthy lifestyle, I suppose, and positive, a positive outlook. And, um, when I got signed again, when I was so just, I guess, to give a quick background about how that happened, just in case
Yeah,
anybody would
sure.
be curious. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I was on Instagram and saw that that woman I had spoken about earlier, Renee, the agent from Click, was still the agent for Click Philly.
Wow.
And I know her, and so I go, "Oh my gosh, I love her. I just wanted to thank her for everything she did for me back then, because it really stuck with me over the years."
Oh,
So
that's
I
so
just
sweet.
reached out to thank her and, let her know that it helped me, and I'm certain she's helped many others. And,
Mhm.
it was great to see she was still doing amazing. And she's like, "Oh, are you, you know, still in modeling? Would you want?" And I'm like, "What?" Now, meanwhile, I hadn't decided to make a change, in my health. I had really struggled, with depression,
Mm.
and, um, I was self-medicating with alcohol and all kinds of things that so many
Mm.
of us struggled with, especially during COVID. I had lost my
Mm.
parents, I
Right.
lost my brother. I was cleaning out my family house by myself, with my husband, but, you're alone, your
Mm.
family's not, it was just a mess, and, like, so many people had. So I had decided,
Mm.
you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna start showing my kids, like, that I can be healthy. So I
Mm.
started slowly, and, ended up, like, quitting drinking, which for me was the best choice, and just doing healthy things. I did intermittent fasting. That, isn't for everybody, but it was just what worked for
Right,
me.
right,
Exercising,
right.
just seeing what works for you, what you feel comfortable doing. And so at that point, I lost about 80 pounds, and was starting to, like, put pictures online again of myself, like, and my
Okay.
family, because
Yeah,
I was
getting
feeling
back
more
into it.
comfortable. Yeah, taking care of yourself. Um,
Mm.
so that's how she saw me on the, it was all through, like, Instagram. And,
Yeah.
again, if I hadn't reached out to her, like, this never would have ever been a thought in my mind. So it
Mm.
was totally the timing, but also having that person that believes in you and says, "Okay, you can
Mhm.
do this." And she
Right.
said, "Yeah, let's do it." So she hooked me up with a photographer to start my portfolio, which I
Mm.
would say to any model out there is the biggest thing, I'm sure you know.
Yes, portfolio. Oh, it's so I didn't realize how important it was because I think like it can be misleading if you go on a website and they'll only ask for digitals. You think, oh, I only need to submit digitals. But I think
1000%.
especially too, the older you get, they want to see that you have experience, and that's just like so essential.
Yeah, it is. And there are agencies, like you just said, that they only want to see like the digitals when you're
Right.
submitting to them. Cool. Get yourself some good digitals. You can definitely take them at home. Follow their directions. That's like the key because
Yes.
again, any new model starting out, follow the directions that the agents give you online to submit because they get so many every day.
Mhm.
They're not going to pay
Yeah.
attention to you if you don't even follow the direction of like, okay, we only want digitals, no makeup, hair back, whatever, just do it
Yeah.
because I did it a couple times. And literally I had agencies respond back. You didn't submit correctly. I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, well,
I feel like yeah, I feel like another tip too is like for me, something that helped me get signs you submit, like definitely like you said, you follow all the instructions and then I would actually
yeah,
email them my portfolio and say, "Oh, I just submitted. By the way, I have this and this experience. Here's my
yeah,
portfolio
yes,
if you're interested."
that's a great tip because I think that follow up, a lot of times these submissions slip through the cracks.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if not more times than not. So doing that follow up and saying, hey, I'm not just a person, if you weren't just getting started or didn't have any portfolio background, this is a great way to
Mhm.
say, hey, I do have some beauty shots or
Mhm.
lifestyle, whatever kind of model you are. That
Mm.
would be like my other main tip to a model starting out. Embrace who you are and like don't try to fit into a mold for modeling that you're not. Um, I get a
That's so
lot
true. That is so
because
true.
here I was, okay, when I first started, and no one's gonna tell you what to do.
Yeah.
When Renee signed me, she's got 100 other models to worry about. She's not holding my hand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like wearing stuff that 25-year-old girls should wear. I'm looking at them, I'm like, okay, that's cute. And it's like totally, I wasted so much time
Uh-huh.
connecting with photographers and sometimes doing like TFP work, which is good when you're getting started, time for print,
Mhm.
where they will give you their time and the images and you don't get paid for it, but you get to build your portfolio. Great for
Right.
models
Right.
starting out.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a huge thing to again know what you need to shoot because you might waste all day and end up with images that just don't do you any good. They might be
Right.
super cute and amazing, but your agent's going to be like, this isn't showing something that we are going to market
Right.
you as.
And do you look up anything for poses? How do you get
Oh my
inspiration
God.
for your poses for, like, your portfolio shoots? I feel like
Pinterest.
that was something that I was trying to, like I don't know, I kept doing, like, very repetitive, the same kinda
Yes,
style poses, and I was like, "You
yeah,
know what? I need to, like, get more into, like, some different poses." So you use
totally.
Pinterest.
So, well, there's a couple things I would suggest, and
Mhm.
still do. Pinterest, and I have been on so many sets with photographers that we've literally, while we're doing the shoot, they're on Pinterest. You can create boards that way and
Yeah.
with each other,
Mm.
have a specific, whether it be a pose or a color, scheme or just a vibe or a lifestyle kind of image, whatever it is, you can really capture.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
also think going into the agencies that you want to be signed with,
Mhm.
go into their portfolio and look at the
Yes.
girls
Yep.
and look at what they have.
And really ask
So
yourself, "Does my portfolio look like this?"
so self-reflection is key, knowing who you are, and then
Mhm.
looking at finding the agencies you think would be best for you. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
I'm a commercial model,
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, print, beauty, lifestyle type stuff. So you
Yeah.
have to find the agencies that are right for you and also in your market, and then identify which market it is. Like, so if you're in the DC market, you need to
Yeah.
build a portfolio, or if that's where you're trying to expand to, build a
Right.
portfolio
Right.
that's, you know, more of a DC market or a Chicago market. And you can learn what those things are by looking, again, go to the websites,
Right.
pull up everybody's. I would sit there and go through these girls,
Yeah.
you
Me
know,
too. Me too.
every one of
Yeah.
their, thank God, because I thought I was nuts, but I would just
No,
go
me
through
too.
and look, save pictures, screenshots, like, okay, I love this pose. Okay, I need to up my game here. And also
Yeah.
say, okay, this board is already filled with people that look like me. I'm not going to
Right.
submit right now. Um,
Right.
because that's another thing. Agencies aren't going to,
Yeah.
it's not
That's
just
true
about
though.
being pretty or whatever. They want to
Yeah.
see, they might have a space that they're trying to fill. I need
Right.
someone with
Right.
freckles, red hair. You know, we already have 3 girls with short brown hair. Yeah, you're great,
Mhm.
but sorry, you know,
Yeah.
they don't want to send out packages of 50 people. You know what I mean? So again, that too, looking at the boards, knowing
Right.
where you could even say that when you, like you said, a great example of following
Right.
up. I think I'd be a great fit for your board. You know, I am giving something you might be lacking.
Mhm. And
And
it also is normal to get like rejected by like some of the agencies I work with now. My first time, my first submission, you know, you never hear back, or maybe you meet with them and it doesn't work out that time. But then later down the road, and I have friends who, if this happened, you could potentially sign with them. So it's
oh,
always good, like we said in the beginning, to
absolutely,
keep a connection, be kind,
absolutely. Be
and the good
kind.
things can happen.
Don't submit 1,000 times. Like if it says
Yes.
don't submit for 6 months, don't submit for 6 months because they're gonna get
Don't follow up every
annoyed.
second. Yeah.
Yeah, like don't like, okay,
Yeah.
submit. You wait to hear for a couple weeks, like maybe you did like your
Yeah.
follow-up and that's enough. Okay. Um,
So when
so
do you think is the good amount of time? Like maybe you've met with an agency and maybe they say they like you, but maybe they let you know, like, oh, let's keep in touch. When would you follow up? Like maybe 6 months?
in that scenario where they're showing you interest, I would definitely follow up a little bit sooner than that. Or
Okay.
follow their lead. If they say, hey,
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
no, we're gonna be busy again in March, we might be looking to sign some more people then. Um,
Mhm.
so with my agency that I'm with now, Vi,
Yeah.
which is like
Yeah.
they were one of my goal agencies. They're big in commercial. They're
Yeah.
huge in New York City,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
I like so admired their board. And I'm on their classics board there. So it's a small
Yes.
board, like 9 or 10 girls, and a couple of them on there were girls I felt like they're amazing. So I'm like, oh my god,
Oh,
I submitted to them at least twice. Um,
okay.
never
And
hearing
what do
back.
you feel like you did your second time around that helped you?
So I never heard back from them.
Okay.
My mother agency, who I had signed with after I had done the submissions myself, I ended
Yeah.
up signing with my mother agency. Vi contacted them about me having seen me on their website. Never, I guess, again, just to show you, I had submitted to them, followed, and never
Wow.
heard anything. And then so did they even see me? You know, things fall through.
Did you update your portfolio or anything, or was everything was the same? It was just that you had a
You
mother
know,
agent that
maybe it
helped.
might have been a little bit different work. I can't really you know, I'm
Okay.
certainly
Okay.
had at that point started to update my portfolio. But it was amazing.
Yeah.
I could
That's
have
amazing.
my mother agency contacted me and said, Vi wants to meet with you. I,
Oh, that's
I was in
amazing. And
shock.
how did you connect with your mother agency?
Okay, so yeah, that's definitely something I
And
think.
also, do you think that it's essential for models to have a mother agency? If you want to
Okay,
talk about those two things.
yeah, totally. I don't think for everyone it's essential.
Okay.
You know, if you feel like you have a certain look and you submit and you get contacted by the agencies by yourself, hey, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
For me, as I just told you, like the mother agency, if I didn't have them, there's
Yeah.
no way I would have been signed with Vi, like or
Wow.
Long Island. They got me hooked up with Long Island.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
and they said to me, so I bet what happened was, there are 2 models that started the mother agency that I'm with.
Okay.
And I had known them because they were both with Click Philly.
Mhm.
They didn't know me personally, like I just knew of them from, you know, Instagram and the websites and everything.
Right. Right.
So I knew they were starting an agency, that they had a lot of experience, and that it was focused in New York City. So I
Okay.
followed the instructions and submitted, and they called me back for a Zoom call and
Wow.
then offered me a contract. Now, that was amazing.
Wow.
What I would say for people that are considering mother agencies, consider, again, the market you want to be in. You know, if you want to be in Chicago, find a mother agency that has connections there, because they might not have the connections if they're, you know, in a
Right.
different city. They could still submit you, certainly, but they might not know the people there like they do in the city that you want to be in.
And how do you find mother agents?
Well, I think Instagram, again, or social media,
Okay.
probably, because
Okay.
then you can take a look at who they represent and who they work with.
Okay. So looking up like a hashtag like mother agent, like even something as
Hashtag
simple
mother
as that.
agencies, New York
Okay.
City mother agent, boom. Okay, get some list ideas. Or if you see models that have mother agent listed in their profiles, because they usually would,
Okay.
okay, go and look at that model. Who are
Check
they
it.
signed
Okay.
with? Are they working? You know, there you go. And that gives you a list. Okay, I can take a list of 5 and submit and see what happens. Now, they were honest with me. They helped me 1,000%. My hair was blonde. This is my natural
Okay.
color. They were like, girl, get rid of the blonde. My hair was like, they're like, you look like you're trying to look 25, embrace, you know, who you are.
Yeah.
You need not sexy, like profile, like, or portfolio pictures. Like, they were straight up,
Right.
and they're amazing.
Right.
And they helped me make those connections, get started, and they didn't submit me. And I nagged them probably about it, but until I was ready. Like, you know, they said,
Okay.
okay, or they weren't getting ready. And that point, they started posting pictures. And again, that might have been when Vi saw, you know, they weren't,
Yeah.
they're not going to push you until they develop you and they work with you. And it doesn't, you know, they don't
They
charge you
know.
anything. So that's another
Okay.
thing. They don't
So
charge.
they don't charge, so do they get like a certain percentage out of your
Yes.
work then? Okay.
So, and that's
Okay.
a part of it that I think sometimes people get hesitant about, because I guess they think, why would an agent, so a standard agency fee
Mm.
that you have. So if you have a booking agent like Long
Yeah.
Island, uh,
Right.
I guess that's a big thing, knowing the differences. There's the booking agents who put you out to casting
Right.
directors
Right.
to get the jobs. So you have to be represented by them. But then there's also the mother agents who will submit you to the booking agents to get signed.
Mm.
The booking agents generally take 20% of your fee. So the booking agent and mother agent agree to split that 10%.
Okay.
So sometimes, so again, neither one of them get paid unless you work. So,
Right. Right.
you know, again, they want you to work.
Speaking of work, do you take on any other work outside of modeling?
Well, we own a construction company. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, that we,
Nice.
yeah, so my husband's been in construction for a long time. So we're now at that point where we're stable in that. So I'm able to do this.
Right.
Modeling is
That's
definitely
awesome.
like, you're not
Yeah.
making millions in, you know, and it's hit or miss. You never
Right,
know
because
the
I've
month to
experienced
month.
that too. There could be like a great month where you're walking in Fashion Week and it's a good month, and then the next month you can hear nothing. So
It's crickets, right? And you know, the call, I think self-tape, which has become like a really hot issue lately with
okay,
casting
yeah,
directors. I know, where there's
yeah,
this big thing now that they're asking for everyone to come back in person.
right,
But the self-taping, Vi said to us, that's your job. And that's true. I mean, it's my job sometimes. I'll do
yeah,
all day long self-tape, self-tape, self-tape. And you know what? You might not get those jobs, but if you do, you're gonna have a great month, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
what
That's
it
true.
is, it's the
And the
constant
more you practice the
thing.
self tapes, the better you get at them, the better
Yeah,
you get at
totally.
it. So
And
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Just looking up, like, and looking at yourself afterwards, it is good in the sense that you can do a couple takes, select your
right, right.
takes. It's also, I think you're missing that human element though, of like talking to someone or your
Someone,
personality coming across. But I mean, what are you gonna
that's
do?
true.
It
That's
just
true.
it is. But back to like the mother agent though, real quick. Like, I
Yes,
think
yes,
for
yes.
girls or men or women out there, anybody getting started, if you do want to, you know, find a mother agent that will help guide you, develop you. They're not going to ask you for money. That's a big thing.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
but they will probably suggest you build your portfolio. And that
Hmm.
costs money if you're going to hire a photographer. That's, I think, a thing that a lot of models get confused about. If they're like, it's not going to cost any money. Well, if you're going to build a portfolio,
Oh yeah.
it is. You're going to pay a photographer.
And the
I think
photographers that I feel like I've worked with that I've paid, the photos that I get from working with, like, photographers that may not be as experienced, I mean, it's just like, you can just see it's
that's
the quality is just so different.
right.
Yeah.
you can do that TFP work and get the experience and maybe get some great images, but most of the time you'll get the better images and the edits and everything you need. You know, if you're
Yeah.
hiring someone that has experience,
Right.
and you
Right.
say to them, that's the thing I'd suggest too, you know, when you go into a shoot to build your portfolio, you know, definitely have a couple looks and have them be something specific for you. You know, for me, if
Right.
they want to see a you know, a yoga like athleisure type look, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
a business professional like CEO type look, a mom in
Yes.
like a turtleneck and jeans, and then like
Yes.
a going out, you know, and that
Mhm.
covers four different things right there. Okay, boom, you
And that's
have your
perfect.
portfolio. Don't waste your time doing a portfolio of all beauty shots because it can get
Mm.
exciting to do. Okay, I want to do all like
Yeah.
stunning
Close-ups.
dresses, but they're like, yeah, great, but can you be, you know, can we see it in like a shirt and t-shirt? You know what I mean? Like you have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
chameleon type thing going on in your portfolio. So I would definitely say that that's key,
Mm.
getting, you know, a lot of good shots, different
Yeah. And
before you
so
submit.
yeah. Um, so how do you feel like you balance your life at home as a mom and modeling in the city? I think about that a lot. I mean, I'm approaching my late 20s. I
Right.
think about, like, wanting to settle down with someone, have a family, but I feel like I'm so invested in, like, the career right now that it's hard to, like, you know what I mean, like, balance it.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
like you
Yeah.
said in the
Well, no.
beginning, like, it's hard. A lot of people were telling you in the beginning, right, that if you chose to go down that path of modeling, that it's, like,
You can't
it's
have a
hard
family,
to
or it's
right,
hard
it's
to
hard
manage.
to do it all, yeah.
It is, and I'm so lucky right now. It's that again, that's another thing they'll say to you, "Is it the do you have the time to offer?"
Yeah.
Really? And consider that because I didn't, you know, earlier in
Mm.
my life, and a lot of people do. They manage when they have young children doing both, but I didn't have that time. Now we're able, you know, we have childcare for
Mm.
our youngest,
Right.
so I'm able to have days. We have a lot of flexibility owning our own.
Right.
So I'm able to say, "Okay, I need to go to the office and shoot a couple auditions today. I need to go
Yeah.
to" because I still live outside of Philly, so I go to New York
Okay.
a lot, and that's a, like, hour and a half, you know, hike. Um,
Yeah.
it's tough to manage. What I would say
Mm.
is definitely know be honest and upfront about how much time you have to offer to this because it's really
Yeah.
a second job for most people, unless
Right.
you know, you can or unless you have another maybe source of income or whatever it might be.
Right.
A
Right.
lot of people do have 2 jobs, you know, while they're
Mhm.
modeling and something else.
Right.
So kind of having that knowing you have another form of income that provides flexibility, that you'll
Right.
be able to because you might get a casting that's tomorrow or, "Oh,
Mhm.
can you be on set at 9 a.m.?" You know?
Right.
"Oh," and you have to
Right.
be able to offer that because 'cause they'll move on.
Right.
That is
Right. You can't
tricky.
miss those castings, yeah.
You can't because again, there's 5 other people behind you. So, I think being honest with yourself about your time and the flexibility,
Mm.
and then just really scheduling your days, planning it out. Okay, I need to go shoot
Yes.
from X, you know, 12 to 3, submit, and, you know, then I feel good that I got stuff done for modeling because it is a grind. Like
It is. It
it's a
is a
legit
grind.
hustle. Like if you
It
don't
is.
it because everybody's out there trying hard too.
I
So
would say, yeah, something that helped me was I was in a position where I was working in an office and then I was doing some influencing stuff on the side. So right now I do that and then I take on some marketing work and it's remotely. So that just gives me so much more flexibility. If I need to be in the
absolutely.
city, I can go and do it. So like I feel like now there's a lot of remote opportunities too. So if
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There and again, with the self-tapes and stuff, you can do that stuff at home, so you don't have to go
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
city, so there is more flexibility, and it sounds like you're in a great position. That's the thing, you need to know when you're in a good position in your life to
Right.
start. And by the way, I've been
Mm.
told by so many photographers, casting direct I mean, like, everyone. Women in their 50s and 60s and 70s, like, with, you know, gray hair, they are the ones working the most.
I've seen that. I'm seeing that. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're getting
Killing it,
booked. Yeah.
killing it,
Yeah.
and they're like, "If you have gray hair, let it
I
grow
love
out." I'm
that.
like, "Oh, what?" But, I mean, they love right, it's amazing, and so
Embrace
that's where
it.
it's
Yeah.
embrace it and know, like, if it's not the time for you right now, if you feel like there might be too many other things going on in your life, like, you still have a shot, you know,
Yeah,
these days. It
definitely.
didn't really used to feel that way.
I feel like I relate to you too, because when I was in my early 20s and then not really getting signed, I was just like, oh, I don't know if this is for me anymore. Like I'm just gonna,
Right.
be done with modeling. And then years go by and then it just comes up again. And you're like, I never thought this would happen again. It's
I
so
know. And it's
yeah.
really nice to see other people that have that experience and,
Mm,
that it's
yeah.
okay to still try to gain experience at this point because a lot of the people out there have from that I work with have 20 years behind me. They have been doing it since they were 19. So they have
Wow.
those connections and work you might not, but okay, be inspired by that. Like go out and
Yeah.
become the person that has the experience and
Mhm.
meet people and ask questions and stuff, but know that just because you're older or it's not perfect,
Yeah.
you could have years ahead of you that you could still be in this business and doing well,
Right.
working hard. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so
So speaking of castings, I feel like I had an experience. So for Fashion Week, there was this well-known brand that I had went into a casting for,
uh-huh.
and I feel like it was tough because, like, what would you say your advice is for being in a casting and maybe like you get a little bit intimidated? I don't know if this has ever happened to you. You see all these
Uh,
beautiful girls, and then you start
yeah.
recognizing people. I'm like, wait a
Oh, yeah.
minute, I've seen her. She did Victoria's Secret. This girl's walking for this designer. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then you get in your head a little bit. And I feel like
You're
I totally just blew the casting because I was just so
oh,
like, I feel like and it
yeah,
happens, then you learn from it,
it
and
is.
then you realize the next time I need to just focus on myself and not it's so easy to compare yourself to other people. So what would you say? Do you have any advice for
So, yeah, I mean, as far as advice, just get through it the first couple
Yeah.
times when you feel that way because then something will, kind of click in you where you say, "Okay, I do belong here." Um,
Yes. Yes.
it's
Yeah.
hard to feel that way. I
It is.
I used to call my husband. Why am I here? I don't know what I'm doing here. Get me
Yes.
out of
Yeah.
here. Panic. I'm leaving. I mean, there were times I really considered just like walk. When I went to Fashion Week, I walked in New York Fashion Week for the first
Oh,
time.
nice. That's
And
amazing.
I got to the backstage. We were like everybody was calling out names, and I wasn't on the list. Total accident, but oh my god, I'm
Okay.
gonna leave. My first thought is get me out of here. And then as we're in the line, it turns out it was a mistake. I end up opening the whole show, which was crazy. And
That's
this
awesome.
girl, this beautiful, I mean, she's going to be like a supermodel one day. She's like 16, was in the show, and she's, behind me, and they all go like, "Do you have any advice for us?" And I'm thinking advice for you, but they're looking. I
Oh.
must have done this a million times. And I go, "Oh my god!" And I said,
Oh.
that made me feel better, honestly, because it made
Yeah.
me think, okay, I'm looking at her like you're gonna go kill it. You must know what you're doing. And she's looking at
Mhm.
me. So I had to show her, okay, be strong, don't
Yeah.
be scared. And
That's why it's so
so
good to support other models, for all of us to just be able
that's
to
exactly
talk to
what it
each other,
is.
give each other advice. We don't need to I get it, like, we're competing sometimes for specific, roles or opportunities, but you can still be, kind to one another and help each other out.
And that's the thing. When you get to
Mhm.
those castings where you felt like you felt, when you eventually look around the room or make eye contact with someone, they'll tell you the same thing. That even the girl you
Yeah.
recognize is probably scared to
Yeah.
be there. Or she's
Yeah.
looking around at you and saying, "Oh my God, there's no way." And you think it's you, but trust me, it's everyone feeling the
Yeah.
same way. It is an
Yeah.
intimidation factor. You're looking around at a lot of other people that, are look like you maybe, or, whatever it might be. They're beautiful, tall,
Uh-huh.
whatever. And you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't belong," but you do. And
Yeah.
and you wouldn't be there if you didn't. You wouldn't have been
Right.
invited, you wouldn't have been asked to come. So just try to remember that. And I think the more people you talk to and support and smile at, they'll kind of break down too a little bit, be like, "Oh, I'm nervous too," or "It's
Yeah.
okay," or just talk to you, "Hey, nice to meet you." And you realize they're just normal people and support
Uh-huh.
for the most part. You know what I mean? It's not a competitive. I don't find things to be super competitive these days.
Mm.
In castings, I think people generally say hi and want to
Yeah,
make.
people are nice.
Yeah, like you want to see, like I see everybody, "Oh, what's your like Instagram or whatever," when you're at castings. They're just like trying to
Yeah,
make
network.
meet people and network and not really like, ew,
Yeah,
what are
yeah,
you
kinda have that
doing
mean
here?
girl. Yeah, I feel like
Right.
it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people think, like, or my friends will ask me, like, "Oh, what is it like in the castings? Is it a lot of, like, mean girl
Right.
energy going on, but I don't know, from my experience, it hasn't really been that way.
It's been people in I've totally like girls helping each other get dressed. "Oh, you know, you need to fix your hair a little bit. Oh, you look amazing." Just so support.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
sounds like that might be cheesy, but it's really what my experiences have been, just uplifting, supporting people. I think it's kind of almost like if you had a different, if you were maybe different, you just would kind of keep your mouth shut because it's like nobody wants negativity around if people are all being cool and supportive of each other on set and or at a casting.
Right,
You don't
right.
want to be the one that's like
That's
mean
true.
because they're not going to cast
Yeah.
you either, if they see that
Yeah.
one kind of,
The
you know,
casting directors too and agents, I feel like they're looking for that fun personality and a model and someone who can get
really.
along with everyone and work as a team and
Right. You don't want to be
yeah.
difficult because then you might be
No.
difficult on set and they're not going to hire you because when you're on set, you need to like follow directions and
Yeah.
they just do everything that you're supposed to. And if they see, yeah, that's a great point. If they see somebody that's difficult, you might be the most beautiful, perfect fit for them, but
Mm.
why would they hire you? And so I think that's something to keep in mind, but also, yeah, it is scary and think that and it's okay to be scared. It's okay to have
Yeah.
those but you belong. I mean, you're
Yeah.
saying and
You as
like,
well.
oh, please, thank you. But like, no, it's a just look around and think, okay, it's so much easier said than done, but
Yeah.
I'm here for a reason. I was invited. Okay. Allow yourself to have a little confidence. It is
Right.
okay. It's not,
Right.
it's not like a cockiness. It just needs to be a confidence.
Mm.
And that
Yeah.
comes across, I think, to people
I
too.
was just thinking that too. The agents, it definitely shows. It definitely shows when they're
Oh,
booking for
yeah.
someone. You can just tell by your energy and how you're feeling in that moment.
And if you're like kind of standing hunched
Yeah.
over,
Like,
nervous,
all stuck.
like in the corner, which I do all the time, but just try to
Yeah.
tell yourself, okay, stand up straight, smile, it's okay. I
Yeah.
belong. If anything, you don't get a job, you get experience.
Absolutely.
Next casting, you're going to feel a little better. And the casting after that, and after that, and you learn
Mm.
something different every time. Um,
Mm.
or you gain some more experience and confidence every time, which can
Yeah.
only help. So try to look at all of those things. I had a huge job I was up for, and I got to the very last bit.
Yeah.
Just literally me and another person, and I knew that, and I met with the director, is a big director, like a Zoom call, and I had to
Yeah.
act I have no experience in, but I'm like, okay. And I didn't get it, and it was hard. And I mean,
Yeah.
you face those daily rejections, but you gotta just learn.
Mhm.
Okay. I made connections with casting
Yeah.
directors and with a director, and I
Right.
got that experience and okay. And
It'll
now
get
next
me to the
time
next
it'll
thing.
be, yeah, and next
Yeah.
time I'll be
Yeah.
more confident. So
Mhm.
instead of looking at it like a failure or something, which it's not,
You
um,
learn.
learn from everything. That's
Absolutely.
my biggest advice. Like learn and
Mhm.
don't look at rejection negatively. Um, they're looking for something in particular. Like
Yeah. And to know
they
with modeling, I mean, we all get rejected by
totally.
multiple times. You're definitely no one's like
No.
the
And I
only
think
one getting rejected.
well, and I think there's people that maybe aren't in modeling that think like models must walk, have such confidence, but it's hard because
Mm.
you're rejected all the time, and
Yeah.
for jobs, for agencies, and you just got to say, okay, they weren't looking for me like right now, and
Right.
that's okay, and not take it personally. You know what I mean? Because it really
Yeah. It can be a
isn't.
lot. It can be a
And
lot.
you want it, and you'll want to change something maybe or change something, but if you're authentic, that's the most important and will connect at some time with the right job. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or the right director or whatever. And even though it's frustrating along the way,
That was
eventually
well
you'll get
said.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
eventually.
eventually you get there.
Right. So
Yeah.
just keep on trucking. That's what
And
I,
what no, that's good advice. Just keep on going and
yeah,
just never let it get to you because that next casting could be the big opportunity that you were wanting. So
absolutely.
keep going.
You'll never know. And it can be hard. It can be disheartening sometimes. And, but just keep on going. Everybody
Yes.
feels it.
So would you say your
Everyone.
best advice for that is like, yes, we all feel, and then also just don't take it too personally, right? So if you're
Right,
someone who
yeah,
maybe just had a casting, just don't, never take it personally.
absolutely. I have definitely struggled with that. I know everyone probably that's a model or
Yeah.
actress, you
Right.
know, you feel like you might have a connection with a casting director and you had a great
Yeah.
time and everything was wonderful, and then they don't cast you and you what?
You're
Like,
like, "No," 'cause I've experienced it, and you're just like, "Oh, I thought that went well." Like,
yeah, you
"Oh."
think like then you kind of take it, but it's not personal. It's what they
Mhm.
need for their project because they're trying to make it the best that they can. And maybe you're wonderful for something else, but they didn't need someone that
Right.
looked like you or spoke like you or whatever. And trying, I would definitely say, don't take it personally and take every
Yeah.
experience and learn from it and just try to
Right.
get better, from like more authentic,
Mhm.
more confident, and let that shine through. And
Yeah.
you'll get there. You will. Like there will be a job that connects for you. There'll be an agency that connects with you and is right for you, you know, for everybody that wants to model and you know, has the hard work like that with, the willingness to
Yeah.
do what it takes and to face all that. It's not super easy. It takes a lot of
No.
work. Um, but try not to let you break it down along the way and let it just build you up and gain
Mm.
confidence from those rejections, and from anything that you feel. Sometimes looking at pictures at yourself, and I'm sure you know that all day,
Yeah.
it's tough. You might get proofs back from shoots and think, "Oh my lord, do I
That's
really
happened to me
look
in the
like that?"
We all
I'm
take
like,
bad photos too, though. We all take, like there's
absolutely,
good angles and
absolutely.
bad angles for all of us.
And again, hey, learning that is key. Like when you're
Yeah.
doing, moving on as a model, like, okay, I do not look good from this side, from this angle. Do
Right.
not pose like that again. Do not wear that color again, whatever. But again,
That is so
experience,
funny.
experience, learning, change, making your reflection of yourself be what you want to present.
Mm.
I want to look this way to a casting director or to an agency. So that's what I'm going to be. I'm not going to
Yeah.
try to be younger, older, or whatever. If they want
100%.
wrinkle, like, sometimes they might want under eye bag. Like I literally did an audition this morning before this for under eye bags, commercial. And
Okay.
we need no makeup. We need to see
Yeah.
those bags. And I'm like, all right,
There we go.
hey, all right, here they are. But so it's like you never know. Just do
And
keep
that's true
on
too. That's
going.
why you should always embrace your authentic self because that
That
that leads you to the
exactly.
right.
I have a couple crow's feet and I know it. So if they're looking for someone with them, all right, hey, this is what I am. They might say they're not enough. Okay.
No.
You never know. So it's like
That's true,
just
that's
it's
true.
totally knowing what you are and
Mm.
also I think adapting along the way. If you're modeling for years and years, you know, go, rolling the ball, like knowing that, okay, I'm changing now. Okay, now like you'll start to become like more of when you get into your 30s and you're modeling or whatever, you might get cast more for like the like moms or whatever. Okay, you have
Right,
to
right,
change your portfolio up at that point. Or you know what I mean? Like start showing different sides of yourself.
right.
But always, yeah, like I think always staying authentic is key.
Absolutely, it's key. And what
Yeah.
would you say some of your long-term goals are with modeling? Do you wanna walk in Fashion Week again? Are you
Um,
looking for
yeah, I
commercial work?
totally commercial. Like to me
Yeah.
now, I just did a shoot a couple weeks ago that will
Oh.
be in store in Sephora, and that was one
Oh,
of my thank you.
congratulations.
That was
I
like
can't wait
one
to
of
see
my
it.
main things. Like
Oh,
it's not who knows, but like it was. I didn't even know that's what it was going to be for when we went to the shoot. I knew the
oh,
beauty brand it was going to be for, but I didn't know it was for in store,
oh,
and it
that's
was
so
like
exciting.
amazing. That to me, like getting a campaign, with like
Mm,
Target or, a main, like a household type name, I should say. I would love to do a print kind of, do
yeah.
print work in that regard. I love the bigger, like Banana Republic, like things that are more for
Oh,
like
yeah,
Gap, stuff
yeah.
like that. Like those are all on my little like dream board of who I would love to shoot with. And
Mhm,
again, that can change with your age. So all of these things can be goals that don't have to be like, hey, tomorrow, but
mhm.
I would love to one day do that. I would love to one day be like
Yeah,
in a Gap ad or something. But those are my goals. Commercial work, more nationwide. I also want to sign with agencies in other cities because I
Oh,
do have the
yes.
ability to travel now. So I know Chicago
Yeah.
for commercial work. So
I've heard about that. I didn't know
yeah,
Chicago was so big. I've been hearing about that more recently, though, that
yeah,
they're
there's some big
that they have a
agencies
lot going
out,
on.
and they
Wow.
really, I know of a couple girls that I work with on the board at Vi that are in Chicago. They're flying out to Chicago once a month. It's crazy, like doing
Wow,
big
that's
jobs.
amazing.
So
That's
it's like,
amazing.
okay, now I need to shift focus. What do I, need to do if I want to sign
Yeah.
there? And um, so I think too, if you want to expand as a model to other cities, the one thing I've heard for good advice for that from my mother agent and other models is be honest that you're willing to travel, but that you don't live in that
Mhm.
city. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, don't try to fake a house
I don't
address or
live in
something.
Chicago and I want to work it. Like, because they're going to be like, okay. And a lot of times they won't
Oh,
sign
that's
just
funny.
because of that. But if they think you're worth, and if you follow up,
Really?
yeah. I've had agents say to me, if you're not
Huh.
in a city, like, because they think, how can you
Yeah.
get out here if the
Oh,
turnaround's
that's true.
tomorrow?
With New York, I
Or
feel like I've experienced that, yeah.
yeah, or
Yeah.
are you gonna, like, maybe flake out on or maybe they're not
Right.
providing travel, so are you gonna be able to provide your own
Pay
travel?
for
So,
mm.
things you really need to think about before you do that. So, but I think like you said, again, if following up, you could follow up with an agency and say, "Hey, listen, I know I live in New York and you're in LA, but I am willing to travel. I can pay my own way if it's for,
Yeah.
a job that's worth it."
Yes.
And give them that, "Okay, we'll take
I've
her."
noticed that too, because agencies will ask you when you meet with them, they'll be
Mhm.
like, "Oh, what do you do for your living? How much availability do you have?" So making sure that you
Availability is
clearly
key,
state, like, "I'm in a place where I can travel, like, it is no
totally.
worries, I'm there." Like, just make it clear.
Right, because
Yeah.
casting shift, days shift, like, if you book a job, how many times is it, "Oh, we now shift that date," and it sometimes happens the day before 2
Oh,
days, so
yeah.
they wanna know that you have that, flexibility, so yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Availability, I think, is huge for agencies, even the ones in your city, but more so if you are looking to expand or, go to other cities and stuff, they wanna know
Right.
you can put in the time. Because why are they gonna waste their time?
Right,
Submit
right.
you. It's their time too. They're adding you to their website, submitting you for jobs,
Mhm.
promoting you, marketing you,
Absolutely.
and then if you
Yeah.
turn around and just constantly decline audition tickets, they're gonna be like, "Well, okay."
Right, right. I feel
We're
like
not
that happened to, like that must have happened in the past where maybe they do end up signing, like, a few girls from different locations and then
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
yeah, and
And
then they
and I
don't.
think that's a big problem too for a lot of people. Like, you need to, accept
Like what
your
you said, yeah,
auditions, accept
yeah,
your, like, because when they send them out and you're just constantly declining, then even the casting agents recognize that.
yeah.
Okay, they recognize your name. Well, she keeps declining. I'm not gonna
Mm,
even take a chance. So
right.
availability is huge in this business, I think, right
Yeah.
now.
So what do you think of the Victoria I don't know if you saw this, but the Victoria's Secret fashion show is coming back this year. Were you ever a fan of it or
I did see that. Oh my God, yes. The Angels
that
were
was huge, and that was two thou yeah,
huge.
that was like
That's when I was like, in my
it was
early
huge.
20s, late teens. I mean, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
I remember going to college, just like shoving the Victoria's Secret magazines in my backpack because
That
I
is
would
so
sit like in
funny.
between class and just stare and try to like figure out, like the
Yeah.
poses they did. And they're just the most beautiful women. And I love
Yeah.
that now they're including different
Right.
body types.
That's what I'm
Different
wondering what
is.
it's gonna be like this year
I
because they said they're
know.
making a lot of changes. I think
Yeah.
I heard something that I don't know if this is true that there's no more wings, which I'm
I
like,
yeah,
"How could you have
I
no more wings?" Like, but I
I
guess we'll see what I'm,
well,
like,
I think
excited.
I know there was, like, so much controversy going on previously with
Oh,
like,
Ed.
girls' backs and whatever, but, they were for, like, the 2000s, that was the epitome
That was
of
I
it,
agree. Yeah.
like, being in a Victoria's Secret like, they were
Yeah.
it was
But
it
they
was
had
all
diversity then because Tyra was
oh,
in the
yeah.
show, and I feel like Tyra wasn't, like, super,
Oh,
super
no.
skinny, right? She was always, like,
They
a little
did
bit more curvier, and they
yeah, oh,
had, like,
no,
diversity.
I think they absolutely always had a curvier aspect to them in regard like, if you
Yeah.
compared it to modeling back especially because when Victoria's Secret started gaining, a lot of, like, credibility or whatever in the modeling world, the fashion world.
Right.
That's also at the same time that like Kate Moss, you know, like the
Yeah.
very skinny,
Skinny. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that aesthetic of like the black, like the goth, like kind of like
Yeah.
all black, you know what I mean? That look was in. So juxtaposed with these women in like diamond studded bras and like, you
Yeah.
know, wings. It was like grandiose and stunning. You know, it was all what you wanted to be. This like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
full glam. And I think
Gorgeous.
that's what made that stick out so much more at that time because in the fashion
Yeah.
world you were seeing a lot of the darks and a lot of the like
Yeah. More of like the
brown
high fashion,
and
like super high
yes,
fashion.
like very high, right. And so they
Yeah.
really stuck out. They were the
They did.
colorful, beautiful women that everyone at that time wanted to be. I mean,
Yeah.
I would sit in awe watching those fashion shows. Like, it's
I know.
amazing. The
They
production
were
of it,
amazing.
everything. You know, they always
They
put on a
were.
show. Um, I liked that it felt like they let the models have, uh, you know, their own, like they could do their own thing. They could
Yeah.
show their
Yeah.
personalities. They wanted,
Yeah.
you know, they kind of encourage them on the runway to show their personalities, where a lot of times, again, back then when it was high fashion, like late 90s, early 2000s, it was a lot of straight, you know, like
Yeah, you're
walk
just
this
walking like
way. And right, you are walking angry, you aren't doing any, you know what I mean? Like look
that's so
straight,
funny.
turn
Yeah.
around. Right.
Yeah.
And
No
then you
personality.
got
That's
Heidi
it.
Klum out there and she's like, woo,
Bringing
dancing and
it.
singing
Yeah.
and stuff. And it was
Yeah.
great. It was great. And I think it did change that, you know,
Mhm.
the runway at that time, like the fashion world
It did. It
back
really
then. It
did.
did kind of let the colors start coming back into it, like in
Yes.
the wardrobes and hopefully in the body shapes and sizes. Because yeah, I mean Heidi Klum and Tyra Banks and stuff, they were supermodels, but a lot of them didn't fit into the size at that time. You know what I mean?
Right.
That you thought of for like
Right. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah.
and that was great that they showed that side. Absolutely. I
Mm.
agree 100%. And hopefully it only continues now.
Yeah.
Um, celebrating all the different body types, short, tall, oh, you know, everything, and showing that their clothing can, like, because you don't want to buy a bra that
Yeah.
you see on Heidi. It looks beautiful on her, but it's not going to look the same on me. You know what I mean? I want to see
Right. Right. You wanna
how it's
see what
going
it
to look
looks like on
on
someone
me.
else.
And that's
Yeah.
where I think they were missing it before, and now hopefully, you
Mm.
know, they'll really come back
Yeah.
with a vengeance and get that support and the female
Mm.
support and everything, you know, and show like it's amazing to look beautiful and feel beautiful at any size, any age. That's what it's about. That's,
Yeah.
you know, if you're going to treat yourself, buy yourself a beautiful piece of lingerie or a shirt, you want to feel good, like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and I think that's key. And I hope that they do in the new show. I hope they show, you know, a lot of different body types, but also celebrate a little bit of like glamour and fashion, because
Yes. Yeah.
what makes
Yeah.
it fabulous and what you
It
want to
is.
watch, you
It
know?
is. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That
I'm
was
excited.
well said. Yeah, and I'm excited too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Krystal, for coming on. This
You're
was so
so
insightful, and I did wanna say my condolences for everything that you've
oh,
been through. It's just so inspiring to hear your story and to hear how you rose above everything, and
thank you.
yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you
And
so
if
much.
our listeners can follow you anywhere, what are your
I'm
handles?
on Instagram at Krystal. It's Krystal, and then it's
Mm,
an underscore Fleisch, Fleisch. I
mm.
don't have TikTok. I am not that cool yet,
You
but
have
I'm
to get on TikTok.
oh, I know. I am so scared it's gonna take over my life, and I think it
Oh, it's so
will.
addictive. Yeah. You know what? Maybe as someone
You know
who's
what?
on TikTok often, maybe you
I
shouldn't get.
I feel like I am like the dinosaur that hasn't joined yet, but I'm so scared because I know I'll love it. I'm scared because 'cause I'll love
I
it,
know,
but
you will.
I'll get there one day. For now, you follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
So, thank you, though. I really appreciate this. It was great talking to you, and I hope I can help, like, any models getting started just get that confidence that they need because, you know, it's important to know that there's a lot of us out there feeling the same way.